We're going to jump to our last preview, which is the Edmonton Oilers in second here versus the Winnipeg Jets. Oilers finished the season with 72 and the best player in the NHL versus the Winnipeg Jets and last year's Vezina winner. This is an interesting matchup. Prior, at some point in the season here, the Winnipeg Jets were actually second in the North and potentially had a chance of overtaking the Leafs, and then went on a 2-8 slide, losing 8 games in 10, and are now kind of coming into the playoffs on a little bit of a limp. They have not matched up well against the Edmonton Oilers, who have had their number all season, specifically McDavid. And it goes into an interesting time when the Oilers power play and PK is once again the best combined in the NHL going into this one. So let's start with this right now. Oilers Jets, who do you got?
Well, let's talk about Oilers depth, and we're getting depth scoring at the perfect time. James Neal has found his legs. That line is really starting to produce with Ryan McLeod in the middle, with the 2 veteran wingers on either side, and Chiasson and Neal. I think their top 2 lines have been really good, and there's been some tinkering with Cahoon going from the second to the first, and Nugent Hopkins popping up and down as well. I think it's worked really well. And our defense has looked the best it's been in, let's say, 12 years. And, you got Nurse, who's second in the league in plus minus. You've got Barry, who's a leading scorer and defenseman in the league. And when your third pairing is Caleb Jones and Ethan Bear, who have played together for years as well, I'm quite happy with this lineup going in. And Mike Smith has been an X factor in that, a huge fighter and leader. And just, I think he's been great. So I honestly, this series, I see going 4, maybe 5 games. Hellebuyck can steal 1 game maybe, but I'm going to say Oilers in 4.
My prediction.
Oh, God.
Hellebuyck.
Oh, get out of here.
Steals 1 game. I don't see the Jets winning this one. They have one of the worst defenses in the entire league.
Yeah.
Their offense is average. Really, they've gotten wins off the back of a great power play and Hellebuyck. Again, they're leaning on Hellebuyck. Oilers, they're a fantastic offensive team. Their penalty kill is elite, or their special teams is elite. Defensively, I'd say they're below average 5-on-5, but they're nothing compared to Winnipeg and their horrible defense. I don't see Winnipeg having a chance.
All right, all you non-believers out there.
Yeah.
This is a tough series, okay? Because Calgary played Winnipeg last year in the playoffs, so there's still some animosity I have towards the Jets. Paul Maurice calling out Matthew Tkachuk, calling him a dirty player. That's not nice. What did he ever do? And Edmonton is up north and can never cheer for them, no matter who they play. So for me, this is a tough series still. Who am I going to cheer for? Who would I want to win? I'm gonna go, just to change things up, I'm gonna say Winnipeg in 7, and here's my reasoning. We saw last year with Edmonton, a lack of playoff experience really caught up to them against Chicago. Kane and Taves were able to do their thing, and Chicago pulled off a huge upset in a series that they had no chance in on paper, and they really shouldn't have even been in. And in the next round, Chicago they got trounced. And I think Winnipeg has some playoff runs. Scheifele has, Hellebuyck. You can't discount that. And I'm going to say Winnipeg in 7. I just want to be contrarian here, but I honestly think that the playoff experience of the Jets, and they're not a bad team. They're just on a slump. Right now, they won 2 out of 10. But you throw that record of the regular season out the window. Right now, their record is 0-0. Just like Edmonton, just like Toronto, just like every other team in the playoffs. So they're 0-0, and they've had some time off to work on some stuff, and hopefully they worked really hard on it. And if they want to borrow any Calgary Flames players to help them, just know, and we'll send them up north so we can get Edmonton out of here.
All
But I'm going to say Jets in 7, but it'll probably be Edmonton in 4.
All right. I'm going to give you this stat, which was shared from a friend of mine, which was that Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler have collectively minus 32.
Yeah.
They have not been great when it comes to that. And McDavid has owned Scheifele this season. Like, he has absolutely dominated. He has scored on Hellebuck in ways that other people haven't. And Hellebuck just looks a little timid out there against him. And I think he is a Vezina goalie. And he was last year's Vezina goalie. He's not this year's Vezina goalie. He's not even in the conversation for this year's Vezina goalie. And I think that you think he's in the conversation.
I don't think he'll be a top 3, but I think he'll.
Well, then he's not in the conversation.
Out of the conversation.
If he gets votes, he's in the conversation. He'll get votes.
But anyone can have a vote.
He had to face more shots and more high danger chances than any goalie in the league.
So, and he unless he gets the votes,
he got them a lot of wins. Like, Winnipeg is a terrible team.
Yes, I agree. Why are you fighting with me on this?
I will say this.
Because their record doesn't display a terrible team, and it's because of Hellebuck.
Did I interrupt you? Yes, you did. Shush. No, shush.
You always interrupt me. You're doing it right now.
Shush. Shut up.
I'm leaving this podcast. Starting my own.
Thank you.
Bye, boys. Have fun editing this by yourself.
But I do think he's not where he was last year. I think it's caught up to him. You can see how tired they are. Like, the team just looks sluggish. They can't get things going. They're getting guys back, sure, great, but you're still taking a bit of a loss. And I think last year's loss, despite what Sanjay says, I think last year's loss smarted Edmonton. I think that was a little bit insulting. And you literally seeing guys step their game up. Draisaitl is even actually, if he was going to a full 84 game season, would have more points than last year. Like, it's ridiculous. And even though the rest of the team might not be as strong, like, Winnipeg's defense is just absolutely atrocious. And I think that is going to be the thing. So I'm going to say Edmonton, and I'm going to say Edmonton in 5.
Yeah.
I'll agree this.
Let's not count out Puljujarvi either. Like, he has been a beast. He's big, and he goes to areas that, like, he goes right in front of the net.
And Adam already talked about this, but a big difference between this Oilers team and the one that lost to Chicago is Mike Smith. Last year, the Oilers had terrible goaltending. Like, they were not great.
Their goaltending wasn't as bad. Like, in the playoffs, it was, but the regular season.
In regular season, it was nothing to write home about. Like, it wasn't maybe like among the worst in the league, but it wasn't as good as it is now. Like, Mike Smith is probably going to get some votes for Vezina as well this year. Like, he's given them fantastic goaltending. And then McDavid and Draisaitl, like you said, have really stepped up their defensive game, right? Like, they were minus players last year, even with all those points. And this year, they're among the league leaders in plus minus.
I'm worried about Edmonton relying on Mike Smith too much. I mean, look at what their record was with Koskinen to start the year. They were well below 500. Mike Smith comes in. He's been playing lights out. Can he continue this at 38, 39? Like, I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
if he gets hurt, Edmonton will be in trouble.
Yeah, but okay. So if
Jack
Campbell's injured,
we have more options than you guys. But yeah, we'd be in trouble.
We have Stalock.
Dave.
And Freddie Anderson.
Stalock was good with Minnesota,
but he hasn't played since the bubble last year.
And you know what? He's well rested. That's good.
But then look at
Kucherov.
If Tampa loses their goaltender, like, who's their backup? Do you feel better with McElhinney back there? Doubt it.
No.
If
that's most teams. That's most teams.
That's what I'm saying. The drop off from 1 to 2 is always like that. So he can't.
Most teams, like Vegas, would be fine. There's a few teams where they have like salt. Like, I think Carolina would be fine.
If Colorado loses their goaltender, that's not good.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they're in trouble. Right. Like,
most teams.
Dubnyk, great.
I will say, like, with Hellebuck, everyone's saying, like, he won the Vezina last year. Last year, he got out goaltended by Cam Talbot in the playoffs. It wasn't even close. Like, Hellebuck did not look sharp. I remember watching that series and being like, this is the guy that won the Vezina. Like, he did not look good last year. So
we're talking bubble hockey. Guys stopped for how long? Like, goaltending it's a crapshoot as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really is. So
Cam Talbot stopped and he came back better than before.
Well, and there you go. It stopped, and then he came back a different goalie.
He turned back the clock 5 years.
Yeah.
He's got a career now. He's doing really well. And
hats off to him.
Delayed Offside.